You know, the greatest strategic failure in marketing is this idea of the singular funnel. It's this belief that you can force every single prospect through the exact same front door, and it completely ignores a fundamental neurological fact. Your market finds a solution from whatever angle they happen to be hurting at that moment. So today we're going to tear down that single front door. We're moving beyond this illusion of a controlled linear path and into the architecture of a system that's actually designed for how humans think, how they search, and ultimately how they decide. Let's dive in.
This one idea, right here, is the key to our entire explainer. It's the diagnosis of a problem that most businesses don't even realize they have. Just think about it for a second. Nobody wakes up in the morning and searches for your brand's specific solution, right? They search for their symptoms. They search for the thing that's hurting them right now. A developer isn't looking for an integrated monitoring platform. She's Googling a very specific error code. A CMO isn't looking for B2B automation software. He's looking for ways to improve his lead quality. The singular funnel just ignores all of that. It stands there with one giant sign that screams, "Our solution," when it should have 1,000 smaller, more helpful signs, each one saying, "Hey, we understand your specific pain."
All right, so here's our roadmap. First, we're going to expose the singular funnel illusion for what it really is. Then, we'll look at the ad platform crisis that made this old model not just flawed, but, well, financially ruinous. From there, we'll start building the solution, something called the resonance array engine. We'll then go deep into the psychology of entry to understand why this new model works so well on a human level. And finally, we'll lay out a really practical framework for architecting 1,000 doors.
So our first stop is a concept that is so ingrained in marketing departments, it's almost invisible. It's this idea of a single linear path to purchase. This is the hallucination that a customer journey is some neat, orderly line that you control. And honestly, it's the source of so much wasted ad spend, misaligned teams, and just deep customer frustration.
We've all been sold this dream of the linear pipe, right? It's this perfect world where a customer sees an ad, clicks a landing page, signs up for a demo, and boom, becomes a buyer. It's so clean, it's easy to report on, and it's completely disconnected from reality. And here's the crucial point. The more you try to force everyone through this one master funnel, the more people you actually push away. I mean, imagine you just want to know what a word means, and the dictionary demands you sit through a 30-minute presentation on linguistics first. That's what it feels like to land on a requested demo page when all you wanted was a simple answer. You're not creating focus, you're creating a bottleneck that just alienates anyone who isn't in that exact state of mind.
This slide really just lays it all out. On one side, you have the illusion of the linear pipe. It offers one door and one monolithic message, basically yelling the same thing at everyone. But on the other side, you have the reality of a multi-entry web, which creates an entire ecosystem. It understands that a developer who's looking for API documentation needs clear technical specs, not a marketing brochure. But at the same time, a CFO evaluating the very same product needs a downloadable PDF with detailed ROI projections. The language is different, the format is different, the value is different. And by offering 1,000 of these specialized doors, this new model aligns with human psychology instead of fighting it. And that right there is the end of the one-size-fits-all message.
So you might be wondering, if the old model was so flawed, why did it stick around for so long? Well, the answer really lies in the ad platform crisis, a catalyst that basically forced the industry to evolve or die.
Okay, so let's rewind to around 2015. The entire economics of marketing just fundamentally changed. As platforms like Google and Facebook got bigger, the competition for ad space just exploded. You had way more advertisers bidding on the same finite pool of user attention, and it drove costs through the roof. Suddenly, the old playbook of just driving cold traffic to a single demo page, it became a recipe for financial collapse. The customer acquisition cost to lifetime value ratio, the very bedrock of so many business models, it just broke. You couldn't afford to pay $500 to acquire a customer who was only worth $400. At the same time, you had companies like Slack and Dropbox pioneering product-led growth, proving that the product itself could be the front door. Investors, of course, noticed. They shifted their focus away from vanity metrics to things like net revenue retention, demanding that companies get users earlier and keep them longer. The pressure was on.
This economic pressure cooker created this huge existential question for businesses everywhere. The old playbook was on fire. You couldn't just spend your way to growth anymore. So how did the smartest companies adapt to this new, much more expensive, much more complex reality?
Well, they adapted by building a completely different kind of machine. See, it's not a funnel, which is a passive, gravity-fed system. No, they built an engine, an active, dynamic system that generates its own power by resonating with user intent. This is the core mechanism of the solution. It's an ecosystem of entry points designed not to push, but to pull. This is the resonance array engine.
A resonance array engine isn't a single path. It's more like a living web. It's an array of different doors, and each one is designed to resonate with a very specific user intent. The goal is to let users find their own least resistance path to value. And when I say resistance, I'm not just talking about clicks or form fields. I'm talking about psychological resistance. It's the resistance to being sold to, the resistance to making a commitment. So once a user enters through a specific door, the system recognizes their intent and customizes their entire journey from that point on. You're not pitching them. You're just echoing their own needs back to them.
So the first type of entry point in this engine is what we call an educational node. These are for the students, the people who are out there researching, learning, trying to really understand their problem. They are nowhere near ready to buy, and a request to demo button is just going to scare them off. So instead, you offer them high-value content. Think of a company like Ahrefs, which has this massive, free library of world-class SEO guides. They attract millions of people who are just learning, and in doing so, they build immense trust and brand authority. The goal here isn't conversion to a sale. Nope, it's conversion to trust.
Next up, we have utility nodes. These are for the builders, the people who want to do something right now. Think of HubSpot's famous website grader. It analyzes a site's performance in seconds. Or think of an ROI calculator from a financial software company. These tools offer a micro win almost immediately. They give you tangible value and demonstrate a little sliver of your product's power without asking for a huge commitment. This brilliantly illustrates your value and creates this little dopamine hit that associates your brand with success.
And finally, of course, we have commercial nodes. And look, this is where those traditional front doors still live. Demo requests, pricing pages, contact forms. These are for the buyers. These are the people with high intent and high context. They've done their research, they understand their problem, and they are actively looking at solutions. For them, a demo request isn't a barrier at all. It's the logical next step they were hoping to find. The key, though, is that these commercial nodes don't exist in a vacuum. They're just one part of a much larger, more intelligent ecosystem that serves all stages of awareness.
Okay, so we've got the mechanics of the system. We have educational, utility, and commercial doors for the student, the builder, and the buyer. But that's just the what. Now we get to the really fascinating part, the why. Why is this multi-entry approach so profoundly effective on a deep psychological level?
Seriously, this is the most important question of all. I mean, building a complex system is one thing, but if it doesn't actually align with how the human brain works, it's pretty much useless. So what is going on inside a user's mind when they find that perfect door for their specific problem?
The answer is a principle called cognitive fluency. It's that feeling of ease your brain experiences when information is presented in a way that just feels intuitive and easy to process. Low fluency feels like work. It's trying to decipher jargon or navigate a confusing website. High fluency, on the other hand, feels effortless. So when a developer finds a technical guide written in their language, or a marketer finds a tool that solves their exact problem, their brain's natural skepticism filter, that salesman detector we all have, it just kind of deactivates. They stop being guarded and they start being absorbed.
And this high cognitive fluency triggers this cascade of really powerful psychological effects. It makes the user feel seen and understood. This is actually the Barnum Effect in action. By creating a hyper-specific entry point, you make them feel like your solution was built just for them. It also removes what's called psychological reactance, which is that primal don't tell me what to do instinct we all get when we feel like we're being pushed. Instead, it encourages these low-stakes micro-commitments, like using a free tool. And each tiny little yes just makes the next one that much easier. And over time, this accomplishes the ultimate goal. It shifts their identity from being a skeptical prospect to being an engaged user. The whole relationship just changes.
Okay, we have explored the problem, the catalyst, the mechanics, and the psychology. Now let's bring it all together into a practical framework. How do you actually stop being a gatekeeper and start being the architect of 1,000 doors?
Mastery really comes down to these 4 pillars. First, architect for intent, not traffic. You can discover intent by studying your search query reports, reading support tickets, talking to your customers. Build specific doors for the student, the builder, and the buyer. Second, engineer early value at every gate. A micro win can be a checklist, a template, a quick calculation, anything that delivers a tangible benefit in under a minute. Third, automate the behavioral pivot. Your system has to be smart enough to trigger different email sequences or different ads based on which doors someone walked through. And finally, number 4, measure behavior, not clicks. Clicks are a vanity metric. You have to track the entry-specific conversion delta, figuring out which entry points consistently produce customers with the highest lifetime value. That is the metric that actually matters.
So this isn't just another marketing tactic.
It's a strategic fusion of data and humanity. It uses data to understand where people are coming from, but it relies on a deep understanding of human psychology to explain why they decide to stay. In a world of infinite choice, the winner is going to be the brand that provides a path for every pain point, the brand with the most doors.
You see, when you stop trying to force everyone down a single path and instead build an ecosystem that pulls people toward value from every possible direction, you stop fighting for attention and you start earning it.
And that really is the ultimate takeaway here. Growth isn't a straight line you can dictate. It's a complex, dynamic process that you have to learn from your audience one door at a time.